covered. So baby, don't go.
BLASTMUSIC247.com. We're changing the industry one artist at a time.
Hello, lovely humans. Might want to do that just a little bit. Okay, great. Hey, y'all, I'm Melikia K, Courtney. Welcome to SXP MetaMorphosis 365 Growth Podcast. If you had any question on where you were, that's exactly where you are. Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Out the gate, we start with gratitude. Airtime. So thank you to BLASTMUSIC247 for being a podcast home for moi. It was truly, and just being a wonderful place with wonderful people. If you guys have not checked out BLASTMUSIC247.com, go ahead and handle that. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. Become a member at the .com and hang out and vibe with us. If you are an artist and you'd like to have your music played on BLASTMUSIC247, that option also exists over there at BLASTMUSIC247.com. I think I've said it several times and almost enough times. So also thank you to Sunshine Cromwell, who is an amazing human whom I love, because she was the clutch, the definite plug that helped to bring me on deck, talking about me behind my back in a good way. So a true sister. Grateful for her. She's on Blast Music's channel as well on Thursdays, 7 p.m. with Shine Vibrations. So do check her out. Also, for those who are watching, hey y'all, I'm going to click into the comments in just a bit. And today we are continuing last week's conversation, awareness and solutions. Don't just talk quietly about domestic violence. Get open, get active. Let's work on these solutions together. So I figured this round, we have time, and I kind of wanted to share this with y'all. So bear with me while I figure out how to click in between pages, because I'm growing up on this here podcast stuff. Ready, set, let's get a breath in. Trigger warning. He loves her while grabbing her body to pull her into his loving arms. He loves her while grabbing the headboard. He loved her while choking her gently till the lights went out. With words and doubt of passive insensitivities. Loved her safest in his mind when she was on her knees and him flat on his back, staring dreamily into eyes. I got the feeling that she danced lively in a world full of danger. Stranger the happenings, the more captivating. His thick hair and calmly bulges caused her budget to decrease. Steadily efforts paid to please him. Paycheck his being back together. Prayer, positive words, or whatever alabaster box that bastarded-hearted curmudgeon called for. Silently, bewitching pools, wormholes she laced her tongue through, unknown galaxies awaited. Worm on the hook, she baited him with clarity. Oceanic love, skydiving insanity, plunged to her need. His strong arms kept her as she bled to death. Without him, there's no man left on earth. Amazonian crowned king, queen, royalty, she bowed her head. Crowns rolling off down bronze legs as meatball from atop spaghetti, heavy is the crown. Water, I'm thirsty now. Help me. She tried to scream. Only thing is, that's exactly what he was doing. Healing her from life. Bewildered, suffocating all the knots. It's not what you think. He only sought to return her to ink, rewrite. And maybe next time she will get it right, or perhaps not. Locked in body and out, they've been each other's operator. I need a way out from one another, not just acquainted breaths, but been friend, mother, sister, lover, wife, elemental air, broken bread, saline, love of my life, catalyst, antagonist, and prime singuloid, that one mind. Yet this time she loved him without grip. She loved him as the stinkers pierced daily in and out of her allergy world, blurry, and she couldn't see. She loved him through hot, cold, black, mold, sweaty walls, tongue to the left and the right, mirrors to the souls of souls, dangling balls of disco lights, lifetimes hanging, walls of memories. Did I find him or did he find me? Conspiracy focused synchronicities to ensure love was rubbed like the wood stump of a famous tree. Showtime. Legs already broken, so she can't stand. And he already guilty by the placement of his hands. Fingerprinted reminders all over her body, toes the thumb. She inhaled her last breath and tears rolled down. She inhaled her last breath and tears rolled down, and he comes. Pleasure, pure agony. He rapid to enter, 3 strokes, and he's centered. She's gone from this realm, and he's going with her. And we take another breath. As I mentioned, we are definitely hopping off of this conversation about domestic violence. And in the piece that I shared, you guys can see the relationship is volatile at best. The violence is real for real. And even to the point of staying and engaging in what they both professed as love, it cost her life by his hands and his life by his own. A poetic tale. Yeah. And at the same time, the telling of someone's story who are no longer with us to tell it themselves. Get it? Okay. So we got guests tonight. I saw one pop in, one out. We'll see what comes, what happened, and I'll figure that out. Past that point, we do have one of our guests returning from last week that is here and ready to pop on stage. So I'm going to bring him on up and have him introduce himself while I figure out what occurred with the other one. Go ahead. Hey, Scott, how are you?
Hey, Melikia. Beautiful piece, by the way. Beautiful piece.
Thank you. You know what? If you want to reflect on that, feel free to, but please do introduce yourself and let the people know how to get in touch with you pre-order.
All right. Well, once again, I'm Scott Harrell, one half of and co-founder of Partners in Rhyme, and also the owner and founder of Harrell Consulting Group, business consulting firm, specializing in taking care of all the business financing that your business may need, with the goal of funding $1 billion in Q4 of this year. And we are closing in on that goal. You can find me on the web, www.harrellconsultinggroup.com.
Sweet. And you were mentioning about the piece. What's your take on it, and what are your thoughts about the story being told?
You know, one of the hardest lines to digest, and maybe paraphrasing here, but when you said he's loving her life away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that take on, and I don't know if you intentionally did this or not, but it's almost that reverse take on the well-known phrase, loving someone back to life, which is the opposite.
That's not a well-known phrase, gang. That's my phrase. I love people back to life. That's what I do. So you were saying.
Excuse me, I apologize. I apologize. It is something that you do say often, and You have coin. Yes, I apologize.
No worries.
I've been around you so long. I just feel I hear it everywhere. So I apologize. But
No, don't apologize. I mean, it feels awesome because clearly the message is getting out, and it's literally not just for me. It is for us to really figure out we need to love one another back to life. Period. If we
yes,
can all join that marching band, then we're gonna make a better song. So go ahead.
but it's that thought of how many people are in relationships where the quote unquote love they're experiencing is not loving them back to life, but quote unquote taking them towards death, leaving them. Um, I being on the other side of things, and what is it? Memory is looking back. The vision is 2020. I forget how that's said, but
Hindsight.
hindsight. Thank you. Uh,
Yes.
you know, thinking about where you were and what it was feeling like and how life was slipping away in different ways, hope or the feeling thereof. Um, and realizing what you were calling love wasn't.
Mm.
And when you can unwrap that thought of love from the things that you're experiencing, it's so much clearer and maybe even easier to start separating yourself from it.
Mm.
Because we have such, even from childhood, let's be honest, whether or not it's desperation or desire or dream, we
Mm.
have such a visual of what that love is.
Yeah.
And then when we attain it, regardless of how it is, it's kind of like, you ever have that favorite hot food from grandma that, whether or not it's the cookies or whatever it is, and you knew it just came out the oven, as much as it's burning you, you're in your mouth. You can have it in, you're giving your tongue third-degree burns and everything, but, and you put,
Yes.
so as much as this relationship is hurting you, is crushing you,
Mm.
there are still aspects in your mind you're compromising because it's quote unquote love. It's that thing. I God forbid, I don't want to lose this, or I don't want everybody else to think, or there are so many thought processes of why you want to hold on to the thing
Sure.
because you're looking at it beyond what it just is.
Mm.
Knowing you as I do, and you knowing me as I do,
Mm.
if we were walking in the street and someone socked us in the face, it's going to be a whole thing. It's on site.
A problem, a little bit of a
You,
problem.
so we have to think what else is wrapped that would change the perspective, the understanding of what that would be if it happened inside of a home where you've said, I do with someone and I'll walk with someone and all that. What changes all of that?
Mm.
It's the exact same thing, the exact same action, but what else are you wrapping into it,
Right. Very true.
So your poem is a beautiful, beautiful illustration, a word mural in the mind of looking at that, because as artfully as it's crafted, there's no denying how the deeper you go into it, the clearer you see the ugly.
Mm-hmm. And it's beautifully wrapped because a lot of times the relationships come beautifully wrapped. When it's first coming together, it's beautifully wrapped. Right? Everyone's on their best behavior. The representatives are out, and then the representatives leave, or the facades melt, and you have the human before you. And I don't even know what it was. I was dealing with something else. Someone asked me a question, and I posted the answer because it was the kind of question that I could post the answer. And what I was sharing with them was like, okay, oh, it's actually in the book. It's in What the Duck.
Mm.
And What the Duck is this year's thank you mini book that's being sold or offered for donations to the fundraiser. Simple. So it's a way to re up on ducks and re up on the F words. Making sure everybody gives a fuck about domestic violence. Okay, that was a mission. But in What the Duck, I shared the answer to that question, or the kind of the path that people go on. And when the representatives leave, those who are lucky enough, they find the sobriety of the relationship. You see who you are with. And when you're lucky, you're able to deal with fully the human that's standing before you in all of their glory and in all of their rust. You know what I mean? And still have a friend and a relationship. And then those who were not so lucky find themselves face to face with an abuser, whether it's a financial abuser, a verbal abuser, emotional abuser, spiritual abuser, physical abuser. Okay. And I take time to highlight each one so that we understand there are many facets of abuse. Not saying one is higher or lower than the other. Most times people don't equate abuse until it becomes physical. There's evidence, physical violence, and then most people are comfortable saying, hey, I'm abused. But no, it happened way before the hands-on experience. And a lot of times, especially those who are not seasoned abusers, by the time they get into the relationships, but most times they are, the boldness that comes, it may start with little stank words. It may start with throwing your things away.
Mm-hmm.
It may start with breaking your things or working to isolate you from the people around you and family. They want all of your time. They want all of your attention. They want to dictate how you live, where you go, when you move around, what you wear, all that kind of foolishness. That's abusive. It's abusive because that person is out of their place trying to live your life through you, for you, as you. They don't work that way. Okay. I see Mary can't. Okay, I'm not sure. It looks like she's having some technical difficulty because I don't see her images yet. It's not loading her fully in. So I'm gonna give her time to work that out before I bring her up. And what I will say is today I wanted to have that conversation that where we left off. We really teed up this week's conversation really well because this is the conversation like we had. We talked about so many points. If you guys did not catch last week's podcast for SXP MetaMorphosis 365, go back and watch that episode. All right. And get those tips because it was all kind of things going on in that show. It was wonderful. A lot of confessions too. Okay, great. However, and that was welcome because I love the truth and I love a great friend, and she was truly a great friend to her friend. And at the same time, this week is for the story. And what I would ask is, as comfortable as you are, only into what you want to discuss, can you share your story? And the way I asked folks to share their story is the beginning. I shared this with you guys last week before we left, so you had a clue and could get ready. Your beginning did not start when you got in that relationship. Your beginning started prior, okay, to getting in that relationship. And then once you entered that relationship, dollars to donuts, and that means I bet you money. For those who don't understand dollars to donuts, there was behavior in place that was geared toward that type of person. Okay. And then now you have made a nice moving something or the other, and you're moving together and you're working that wheel and you're moving through years of life and relationship, and it's getting harder and harder to move those gears until it breaks. Okay. And the breaks being abuse, the breaks being finalities. So I would ask you to tell the story from the true beginning and then move in through the middle and then come to the end. Now, what I will do is I'm going to give you 4 minutes and 43 seconds to kind of think that through because I'm going to pay these station bills right quick and play this music. Or would you, if you would prefer to go before that, you let me know. If you like a palate cleanser after, or if you like a pause and break prior, what would you like?
I don't know if there's palate cleanser enough for this. You know,
we'll do it after. We might need a breather.
So whatever you would like, this is your platform.
No, go right ahead. I'm gonna, because I think after sharing, sometimes people need a minute to breathe, and I want to offer you that and then we can come back and ask questions and share more. So with that, I offer you the microphone to share your story, and I'm gonna Minnie Mouse it. Listen.
Wow, that cup needs a lifeguard. So the question is amazing, and I think it's amazing from the perspective of I've had a recent event in my life that
Okay.
had so much more clarity be able to answer that question
Okay.
more in its fullness than I've ever had before. I had a cardiac event that left me in the hospital for 2 days, not knowing, um, not knowing what was going on and what would need to be done and all of that. But um, the outcome was positive. You know, However, it was made clear to me it was brought on by stress. And when analyzing where that stress was, um, I had some time to have a clarity of self. Uh, something about myself specifically that I wasn't as clear on before.
Please give it
So,
one moment, rewind, because everything went black and spinny. So I'm thinking we're back, but I just want to make sure. Okay, the counter's moving. So go ahead and start that again. So after the cardiac event, and right there, kind of where we went to spinning.
okay. Um, I think I heard where you said. To go to the beginning, as you said, in my youth, when I was growing up, I came from a household where I did experience from my father um, um, abuse, beatings, violence. Um, on one hand, I can say it wasn't every day, but I can also say it was often enough. And whether or not it was uh, you know, uh, belt hands or thrown into or through furniture, you know, there was um, there was enough going on that there's a wide variety to pull from. I also grew up during that time with having great difficulty in school. Uh, and later on in life, I found possibly because of dyslexia, possibly because of that I did not relate well to other kids. I found myself picking on and beat up a lot there too. So you get beat up a lot of, you get beat up in the house, you get beat up out the house. And one of the things I found within myself that I did not realize until recently uh, with this episode, um, that fostered the emotion, the belief, the whatever you want to call it, where I never felt enough. Um, Always trying to do whatever I could to satiate the situation so it did not escalate, or um, trying to uh, get get the right grades. And I didn't know, because my dyslexia back then, no matter how hard I studied, it was going to be a problem.
Okay,
Um,
team.
or however friendly I tried to be with the kids or whatever it is, I was just never enough. And I felt never enough as a person, as just that's who I was, and always trying to be enough, to prove I'm enough, or at least be enough for someone, and
Understood.
trying to earn and keep someone's love. Always believing that, things could be fleeting, because who could love this long term, you know? So that was, I think, the start, the birthplace of some of these feelings, and then to carry them without um, any kind of recognition or actual acknowledgement work to deal with, you know, all that stuff. Growing up to the point of getting in a relationship, um, obviously that would make me have certain levels of unhealthiness to begin with.
Sure.
And I found myself um, in a relationship where I aligned with someone who reinforced that I wasn't enough.
Ah,
You know, everything I did was not good enough, you know, no matter what it was. And whether or not it was the cleaning this or the doing that or the, and there were other aspects of my life that um, fell apart. And when one thing fell, you know, so many more things fell, and it hit me as a man. It hit me in my character. It hit me in my ego. It was as painful to experience as it was, and once again, not knowing this at the time, but reinforcing of a thing that I didn't even know that I believed, but was resonating through me.
life karate. That's what I call that.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Life
yeah,
karate. Blah,
yeah.
blah. Yeah, yeah.
Um, you know, I lost my career. Um, but in the course of losing my career legally, I fought and won and was able to do the things I needed to do to get paid enough to save my home and have my mortgage and this and the other, blah blah blah. And yet I still was of the mindset that I failed and I was a failure.
Mm.
And I was with someone who was very much reinforcing that. And there comes a point.
I'm fit to be nosy, and I'm not trying to be funny. Because you said two things. The one thing you said was as a man, it hit you as a man it hit you as a man and hit you in your ego. I would ask you to kind of break that down, because for your listener who really is relating but could anchor in deeper, what does that mean?
So I would say two separate places. So as a man, when we talk
Mm-hmm.
about how we're raised gender wise, you know, men tend to be raised from a standpoint of you're supposed to be able to provide, you're supposed to
Oh,
be able to do, you're supposed to be able to overcome, you're
sure.
supposed to be able to stuff down these feelings and emotions and soldier on and blah 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 and everything. And it
Mm-hmm.
hit me in my own ego and character, because there are things that I personally believe in myself, some of which overlap, some of which extend beyond of that gender role raising. And all of these things were going back and reinforcing once again I was not enough. You know, you can tell someone. I think I may have said this to you once or twice before, um, offline outside of this space. But you can say you're a dragon all you want, but if you haven't breathed fire, who are you? You can say you're a lion all you want, but if you never roared, who are you? You know, you say you're a dog, but you've never barked. Who are you?
Okay.
Um, and a lot of platitudes are offered, and even from good places, but having so much what I was taking lack of success, and then hearing the close encounter, you know, reinforcement bullhorns right there,
English. What does that mean? Close encounter bullhorn.
um, from my, you know,
Okay.
telling me where I failed, where I came up short, what wasn't being done, what wasn't right, what, you know, I found it gets to a point when you fully embrace that place that you're not enough. You don't even want to expend the energy anymore
Hmm.
to fail. When you
And
believe,
I'm, because
when
I'm
you
in the
believe,
pushback position. I'm here to harass, and harassment is free. And I appreciate you sharing your story. And it's 'cause I know your story, right? Offline. And it's the way that you're explaining it, you're so amiable. Like you're so kind in how you express it, and I respect that. And it's still going to be metal just a little bit because it for me, for the listener who's listening and says you can't hear somebody telling you didn't do something right, you're so offended by that. Is that abuse though? You know what I mean? For the person who is hearing and going as a woman who might be doing the same thing and feeling like, okay, I can't tell you what's coming up short. I can't tell you what I'm like.
so if you bring up a very valid point, here's what I would say to that,
Sure.
especially if you're in relationship with someone. When you're in relationship with someone, in my opinion, in how I relate, how I want to be related to moving forward,
Sure.
you must be balanced because there are very few absolutes in life.
Okay.
And in as much as there may be something that you don't like about someone, with someone, or
Sure.
how someone does something,
Sure.
that can't be the only thing that is led with,
Mm.
talked about, and focused on. Somebody, someone you love, they let's give an example.
Okay.
We've all had that individual we may complain about how they do the dishes. You
Sure.
know, could you have just please, there's cheese still on this more. Could you have at least done them, or could you not leave this one into the morning, whatever it is, right?
Sure. Sure.
Now, it's not abuse to tell them how you honestly feel, right?
Sure.
About that. But if that is the only thing you say to them in your relationship with them and how you relate to them, okay, whether or not it's week in, week out, or day in and day out, what what does a nail expect if they're only, you
And your audio is going in and out. And I'm gonna take this moment just to add some crayon colors in there and fill in. And from the full view, from the clinical view, from the professional chair, from the experienced chair. So we're gonna color in some of these lines because you're so kind. So in the Melikia English, it sounds like you ain't never doing nothing right. Why I gotta keep saying this to you? You a 2-year-old, you're not growing, you know how to go. You know, the BMWs, bitch moaning and whining all freaking day, every freaking day, regardless. And that it is the devaluing of a person bit by angry bit. Sandpaper people is something that it was a term that was used by an old pastor that I had at a point, and I thought it was such a great term. His name is Cheston, and he used the term sandpaper people, and it's like you, as an abuser, they're sandpaper people, and they're constantly rub, 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 rub. And here is the defining point. This is a distinction that needs to be made. It truly has nothing to do with the person that they are abusing. That issue is settled, nestled, originating in themselves. It is
mm-hmm,
their dislike for themselves, their angriness about the choices they made, and then the belief system that they've wrapped around it to keep them in that relationship, right? Because everybody's an adult, no one's glued together, not Siamese, so one could go this way, one could go that way. However, the dysfunction, the codependency is off the chain, and that's how you see the perpetuation. That's how you see the increase in years of staying and dealing with that dirt. So it is the discontentment in that person, and then there's also discontentment in the person being abused. And I love that you shared where you were, what your life song was. This is a story that you wrapped around yourself. This is what you're emanating and vibrating. This is my story. I am not enough. So what am I going to do? I'm damn sure going to vibrate and choose a person who's going to reflect that. And I really am that person. I honestly believe that we really are mirrors for one another. I'm here to be a mirror for you, even in this moment, for you and Mary, because Mary is here. I'm going to bring her up after the song. We are here to be mirrors for one another, to examine what is in us, right? And does that translate to I deserve being abused? Hell no. Ain't nobody saying that. Don't run your tail back over there and say, well, Melikia said, because no, she did not. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that there is some cleaning to do. And there is something in your soul, something that you anchored onto, something that you won't let go, that you could let go of, that you can't get past, that you can exit that relationship and choose better and better and better and better and heal. Because at the end of the day, when I'm about them solutions, we're about to be healing something I don't believe in. Once you've recognized it, that you just get to sit in shit. I don't believe that. Now, if you would like to sit in a shitty diaper, even the babies don't want to do that. You get to work. You get to work and you rebuild, you rethink, you re-ink. And that's what that line is in that piece. To return her to her ink. He sought to return her to her ink. So, rethink. Rethink. Go ahead.
That's one of the hardest things to not only to do, but to accept, because when you start looking back through the different lenses and honest lenses, because, the first lens you want to look back from is, they
blame.
Hate
them. Yeah.
But
sure.
Realizing that I put myself on a hamster wheel. I put myself on a hamster wheel of not feeling like I'm enough. So I'm going to do everything I can, only to once again feel as if I failed, only to do it. And it almost became like a drug addiction, because those moments, whatever they may be in the relationship, whether or not it's sex, whether or not it's a vacation, whether or not it's a night out, or whatever it is, however few and far between, whenever these moments happen, right? You start chasing them like a high. And whatever you have to do to get through the valley, to get to the next high, and
that's exhausting as hell.
It is. And, I don't know if it would be too transparent. I can say in the relationship that I was in the marriage that I was in, it almost became a thing of lovemaking was the marker that, okay, we're at peace right now for this moment. And how long can you hold on to it?
Yep.
And
I understand. Been there, done that.
And then when everything goes to hell, it's like, okay, you're trying to do whatever you can to then, which is, first of all, that's not what any of us should be. Let's just
psychosis. Put it on. Craziness. Yeah. It's madness. So I'm looking at, I'm keeping counter on time too. So I'm going to pause you, because we're not going to get to the end of your story. I do want to bring Mary up, and I'm going to bring her up after these station announcements. I'm going to share with you one of the artists who went to BLASTMUSIC247.com, did become a member, and did share their music for us to share during podcasts because they wanted exposure. Get it? Hint, hint, word to the wise. I'm going to play you a song by Benny with OG Jimmy. Okay, here we go.
Believe, yeah. Don't forget to smile. Don't forget to shine. this world holds something for you, so save us. 'Cause you know I need you.
I believed that if I tried, I could succeed. That's on my mind. I had a dream when I was 5. I lived a life without no crime. I had no worries about no job. In real life, I keep an eye and gotta fight to get what's mine. They say keep quiet, no, I cannot. Hearing voices in my mind, they tell me shoot before you find. Say I'm ruthless, but I stupid. Since too much truth up in my rhymes. Remember fighting with my moms, but she made sure I ain't end up fighting for no time. Bring my life, they say it's fire. You won't be free until you die. Gotta read between their lies. Can't be woke and stay quiet. Can't hope and not try. I was blinded by their fears till I opened my eyes. Don't be feeling like you Jesus, 'cause you died for these guys. I was focused on the money, now I'm trying to stay alive. Only give you bro roses when you see your homie die. Spread love instead of hate, you feel the pain in every line. Better watch how you live, 'cause how you live is how you die.
Save us, 'cause you know, yeah, you know, oh, that this world holds something for you, so save us, 'cause you know I need you. Save us, 'cause you know, yeah, you know, oh, that this world holds something for you, so save us, 'cause you know I need you. Don't think you're lost, you're where you need to be. Keep your head held high, be all that you can see. When you look around, you'll question what you see. You'll question what you believe. Tell yourself I am me. Behold who you are, who you really are. Behold what you can be, who you are to me. They'll tell you who you are, then they'll tell you how far you can go, but you can go, but
Okay. That's what's up. That was a Benny with OG Jenny. Save Us. And an absolute beautiful song and incredible message. I do want to introduce Mary C, who was with us last week. She is back. Hey, Mary, how are you?
Hi, how are you guys?
Good. It's good to hear your voice and see your pretty face. How was your week?
It's been busy, but it's good busy.
That's what's up. We're jumping straight back into conversation. So you've been downstairs for a little bit, so you've gotten to hear quite a bit of the conversation. Anything you want to add to what we've already shared?
No.
Okay, awesome. So then I'm going to throw back to Scott and ask him to finish up his story within maybe like 3-4 minutes, and then we're going to hop over to you.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, so to finish up, my story, I was in a marriage 21 years, I think. Yeah. And there comes a point when you're living that life of not feeling enough that, you embrace it so much, you don't even want to put forth the effort anymore. Not only in everything else around you, but even in yourself, because everything feels like failure. And, that depression and darkness and everything, when that takes hold, it's a hell of a thing. What I will say is that the turn that took, and Melikia, you may be able to speak on this with more expertise, but when abusers feel as if they can't get your attention anymore, then they find out to turn the heat up.
Yep.
And, I can tell you that of the things that were going on, it wasn't, because I had resigned myself that I was leaving this world soon. So things weren't affecting me the way they used to. I wasn't reacting. So then the focus turned to my middle child. That brought out reaction, had brought out, oh, hell no. You know, there was life in me for that. And things escalated enough that, you know, I do believe in, if you can't convince somebody to act right, get the people who can't start to get law enforcement involved. And in the times that I spoke with them prior to everything really coming to a head, they
Lean in a little.
lean in. Okay.
Now I can hear you good. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Okay.
No, it's okay.
In the times before this really fully came to a head, when I was speaking with law enforcement, they were like, dude, this is on its way to becoming a case. We believe she's trying to set you up for it. So you have to just keep documenting and keep your cool as best you can. Otherwise, you know what it looks like being a man in this situation.
So what they were saying to you was that it looked to them like she was trying to set you up for a case.
It looked like, from what my conversations were with them, they felt that she was trying to set me off to respond in a way that I would be facing domestic violence. Because all a guy needs is one outburst.
Yeah.
And you're gone.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening was the reverse.
Sometimes, and what ended up happening was the reverse.
Yeah.
When you go plotting, ain't karma right there waiting on you. Amazing.
And, you know, them from that divorce and, you know, battles in the court, which are still going on, custody and things. But I can say, you know, as hard as it has been dealing with it all, rebuilding my life, everything else, there is a piece that I have not having her in my life that I would not trade.
On the X note, I agree. Ain't nothing like the timeout. And you say things so smoothly, like you gloss over it real smooth. I'm gonna leave you alone though, because we 48 minutes in. But when I hit my recap, I'm going to recap what I heard. I don't know if y'all heard what I heard, but I heard what I heard. And it's and I'm just making light a little bit just to make you laugh. But the truth of the matter is, I ain't deaf and I heard and I know this. I was not gonna be in this world. You literally said those words. I was not gonna be here. And you know, you were not talking about going around the corner to the store. And people get to the point. Yeah, get to that point.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to overtalk you.
Okay, so, and the fun part is, like, we have a delay. So I think I started talking, and then you start talking. And I'm giggling right now. Go ahead.
I apologize.
You don't need to unless you farted in the mic zone. But other than that, go ahead.
I felt that the depth of my ability to be able to do anything good was the value at the bottom of an insurance policy. That is the point. There are places around where I used to live.
We ain't doing that.
Where I knew.
I'm gonna need y'all to stop confessing on my show. No, I understand that.
Yeah, I that's where I was.
Yeah, and thank God you are not there no more.
Yeah.
I do want to offer Mary an opportunity to speak, and I do want to acknowledge what you've shared. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for being kind and candid. And it's and this is true. There are many types of people in this world. You are a private, and there's a word, very kind, but it's like a peaceful, like a peacemaker. So you guys have heard the peacemaker's conversation, someone who's been abused, who is a peacemaker. So the language that you used was peacemaker language, and I'm hoping that people who were peacemakers and who were constantly trying to make that person happy, right, and to experience a joyful moment, I hope that it is seen and heard through the story that you shared is never going to be enough for someone who's decided prior to you doing your next anything that it wasn't going to be enough in the first place. See what I mean? Like there's no satiating that if it isn't. And then we talked about the graduation and behaviors. Started off here, some verbal things, some throwing some things away, some taking advantage, some authoritarian aggression, right? And then you move on down into the heavier stupidities, the denials, sex carrots, and just the many things, the control, and the put downs and all the things that come eventually graduating to the point where they get brave enough. Because sometimes they are not already brave enough, but when they think they've beaten you down enough, and when you're absent of yourself enough, then they want to take the opportunity to put hands on you, thinking that that's going to go over well. And I appreciate you shared that was what it looked like she was plotting. Again, I'm over here, this reiteration, that thing came back on her. And clearly because she got brave enough to put her hands on it. So, what do we learn in kindergarten? What do we learn into your soul by our parents who taught us, keep your hands to yourself. Keep your hands to yourself. If you cannot find a way to be respectful in a relationship, leave. Regardless of what, if you can't respect yourself in it, leave. If you cannot respect the other person in it, leave. Leave. Hey, Mary.
Hi.
Hey.
Thank you so
part
much.
of the time that we
That was awesome.
What'd you say, lovely?
No, I was thanking Scott for his vulnerability and his transparency.
Absolute.
Thank you both.
Takes a lot. That's some man stuff right there. That's a real man. Real man do that. Real man tell it all.
Yeah.
Start a show. Okay. I have to say that video came to mind. There's this video of women in the woods. And they are out there just getting it out, getting that stress out, screaming, Mary. They're out there like livid. The husbands have gotten on their nerves, and they took to the woods to have a moment. Okay,
I'm visualizing it.
And at the end of the video, not even the end, a couple of seconds into the video, then it flashes to the men who are in the woods doing the same because their wives getting no day, they ain't no nerve. It is the funniest, and I will send it to you after this. Oh my God, hilarious. I'm so going to send it to you. And at the same time, I would like to offer you 5 whole minutes. 5 whole minutes. Would you, to the level of your comfort, share the story that comes to mind when I ask you about domestic partner abuse? And the beginning, middle, and end type thing. This is who I was before getting into the relationship, what I was like in the relationship, and then what occurred, and then how you summed it up. What was your solution?
All right. So I grew up, well, my dad used to teach us 3 girls that we are to be strong and not dependent of a man. We're the alphas, go get it type of thing. And I love that. And that's what we were and need to be. Until I came across the relationship that I was abused in, and that was lost immediately. And I didn't know or fully understand what was happening. Mm-hmm. Because I just wasn't that. I wasn't who I knew myself to be. I'm going to start off with the abuser to go back to the beginning and finish with the conclusion.
Sure.
So, so it was actually because I had this alpha mentality, I wasn't really treating my relationships the way I should have. It was more fun than commitment for me. Mm-hmm. And when I fell in love, or I was invested in this particular relationship, and I was like, okay, let's just go for it. It was different. It was different. Mm. There was no borders. There was no ins and out. I was full on. But I was broken, and I was in denial. about it. So I expected this person just to take care of that broken side of me.
Mm.
And he was broken as well. So I was in my early 20s. No, I just had turned, I was 20 when I got pregnant.
Okay.
And 21 when I had my daughter. So we were both babies, raising a baby. And that's when things got really complicated. Remember those 3 questions that I asked that I said that I always reflected on while I was in that relationship? How did I get here? What is this person doing? And why am I still here?
Yep.
Well, that happened after I left that relationship. And I had to trace back to my childhood. And I had to do some therapy. It was in the midst of therapy. It was like group sessions in church, and then also like other things on the side. And I had to ask really tough questions. And when I traced back, it came down to abandonment and love. That was my broken. And it went back to
Love
my
as
daughter.
in the absence of love, or love as in what?
The acceptance, being accepted and loved
Okay.
for all I was, not what was expected of me from that particular person. Because my dad told me to be this, but I was able to be what I wanted to be when I was with this person, and now it's conflicted between the two.
Got it.
And then you're in your 20s, it's a weird.
Yeah, you're still shaping, the brain is still working. Right?
Yeah,
you're
it's like you're grown, but you're not grown, but you have to
Yeah.
be grown because now you have a baby.
Yep.
It's weird. It's outside of the relationship aspect.
Sure.
So when I traced back, it went back to daddy. And in my mind at the time, before I realized I was in denial, I thought I was daddy's girl. But then I realized that daddy failed me many times. One particular time that had such an impact was when I had to call social workers on him because he had beaten me almost to death, really. And he had said, after we were all interviewed, he looked at me, he said, after today, you are no longer my daughter.
Ooh.
And that's where my sex addiction began. And that's what led me to Freddie. That led me to more broken relationships, just looking for my daddy and that love and that acceptance in all these different type of men. Well, the only reason I really kept going back was because, again, it was the first relationship that I was committed to. One, and two, because I had a child with it. And in my mind, because my mom also taught me, no matter what you do, you make it work. You make it work. No relationship is perfect. You just gotta make it work. And so my understanding of that was, no matter what it is, no matter what they do, you make it work.
That's what we were told. That's exactly what we were told as women. Yes, it is.
So the conclusion of it all was when, after the incident that I had briefly mentioned in our last call, where, with the tug of war with the baby, 3 years later, we decided to make it work. And then he looks at me and he says, Mary, I cannot do this anymore. And I need you to understand that I need you to leave. Because at this point, I didn't care what he was going to do. I wanted him to stay. We were going to make this work. Whether we were going to die together or stay together. That was my mentality. We're going to make this work. And I remember calling my dad and I'm like, Dad, he's kicking me out. He's kicking me out. And he was like, are you breathing? And I said, yeah. He's like, well, get the fuck out of there. Okay.
Dad with the great advice.
It took me years. It took me years to understand that was love.
Yeah.
For him to have that moment, because he could have very well kept doing what he was doing. And I'm not saying this to justify or put a Band-Aid over it.
No, I understand.
But I appreciate that moment so much more because 10 years later, after that moment, when we were able to talk about everything, because we were in different places, mentally, spiritually, it was just, we were able to talk about everything, kind of just close off wasn't even the chapter, it was the book. We were exhausted at this point. So when we were able to talk it out, he was like, yeah, because I know what it is to be brought up in a broken home, and I didn't want that for us, and our daughter didn't deserve that.
Right.
So I'd rather be separate and happy and try to discover what that looks like individually than continue to be broken together. And so he's still doing his healing stuff. I'm still doing mine. And it's a day-to-day process.
Good.
But yeah, that's 5 minutes.
That's what's up.
So 5.
You did that like a pro. 5 minutes on a gate. Not mad at you on bed. Oh my gosh. Professional speaking is beast mode. Yay.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing. And go ahead, Scott.
No, I was just thanking Mary for her transparency.
Thank you.
Yes. And the maturity of it. Like I'm grateful that he was mature enough to say, all right, leave, before it got to be you being carried out or him being carried out.
Mm-hmm.
And you brought up such a great point as far as the women being told, make it work. Oh my ever God.
Yeah.
Oh my ever God. Baby, I done heard some things.
Mm-hmm.
I done heard some things. And we will address that for the listener. No, don't make it work. It don't work, baby. It don't work. It's never going to work if you are being abused. If you are being abused and you're being devalued, you're being treated like trash, and I call it a trash panda. You're being treated like a trash panda. That's even politer and higher than that. You know what I mean? That is not the best you can do. That is not the best you can have. That is not the love to settle for. And when you get to examining it, like it's really wild for those who are willing to sit. So many people can't sit with themselves and think. I'm so appreciative of what you shared, Mary. Like you went and you did that inventory. You asked those questions because it's those powerful questions that's going to get you some powerful results, buddy. So I appreciate that you went through that and that you did get counseling and that you are continuing your healing journey. And I'm happy to hear that he is too. Like that is a must if you want to have peace.
Yeah.
And understand what happy looks like for once. If you want to have that forgiveness experience, that's kind of par for the course. So I'm glad to hear your story. And I'm glad to know you both and to not just be able to bring you to the audience and have them hear you. And we have people over on, I can't even pronounce that place, that listen. And it's like, seriously, it's wild. But for them to be able to hear me say, I know this is true because I know y'all. It's not just, hey, let me find some podcast guests. Nah, I know you all and I am living and journeying alongside you and seeing your story and loving on y'all. So it's good that you all are able to verbalize and share these things and help people understand there is life after domestic partner abuse. There is life after domestic violence. Scott, I acknowledge what you also said about being at home and what happened with being put through furniture. That's what stuck in my mind. I'm like, put through walls, put through furniture. Gang, gang. Planted. That's why I feel like a plant. So I understand what it is to be planted into a floor or beaten with a broom handle or extension cord or whatever, the case was for that day. So I fully understand. And it's important that we have these conversations. The month is closing up. I was mad busy, and then part of the month I was not well. So I wasn't able to do all of the things I cared to do this month. But I'm going to bless it and say we did well. And this conversation is definitely something that I will share. Please do make sure you guys are sharing it on your media and with your people. Share it individually. Slide it in them DMs, slide it in those text messages, and get the message out. We've got to get more verbal. Bring out that heightening of the awareness. This is happening. And this is something that's preventable. This is something that can be addressed. So let us do that. Let us do that. Right? So Well, I know we are over an hour, and I was only supposed to be an hour. So I'm going to yield you guys back your time and say thank you. I'll give you each 1 minute. If anything final that you'd like to share. Ladies first, is there anything that you would like the listener to hear? 1 minute, ma'am.
Your past does not define you. And it's possible to love while being hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to be hurting too. Don't try to suppress it. Don't try to move it. Go through your process. Go through your journey, and be super intentional. Because what comes out of it, the version of you, is beautiful, and you deserve that version of yourself.
Love it. Thank you, ma'am. Sir?
First of all, thank you for inviting us and trusting us with the microphone. Second of all, to all the listeners out there, if you are alive, there's hope, and
No. If you are alive,
if you are alive, there is hope, and there is a chance. Everyone on this earth deserves to be loved, and you deserve to love yourself first. And if you are not loving yourself enough to give yourself the opportunity to be loved in a healthy way, if you're not in a healthy relationship with yourself first, you can't be in a healthy relationship with anyone else next. So, as a wise friend of mine said, take care of your health. Take care of your health.
Mr. Cardiac Event.
I don't know
Take
what you
care of your health. You know what I'm talking about? I bet you
I
don't.
don't know.
Okay, all right. I heard you. I was listening very well, sir. I'm a good listener. Trained professionally. How about that? So I know I'm gonna send you guys downstairs, and I'm gonna wrap up. So thank you so much. I'll put you guys in the back green room. Enjoy the snacks. The snacks that don't exist. Okay, great. So I am Melikia K. Courtney. You have been with us for SXP MetaMorphosis 365. I'm here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I chose Eastern, though CT is so don't tell nobody. I do everything in Eastern per habit. So meet me here. If I am not here live, which I am today, hello, you will have a recording that will play. If you have not listened to all of what has been put here for you, do that. Binge the channel. Binge it like you do a show. Only this show, you're going to learn and grow. Get it? Growth podcast. I'm here to love you back to life. Let me love you. Okay, great. So, I definitely am going to show you this before we go. This is the final few days of the fundraiser. I might extend it into November. We'll pop it one more time so you can see it. Screenshot it. Ready, set, go. Oh, say no to me. Do it again. There we go. Those are clips from What the Duck. Please do offer a $25 donation, and I will send that to you. You can put that donation to Cash App if you like. And the cash tag is Melikia C, MELIKIAC. Melikia C. I keep it simple. If you like a Zelle option, it's 321-443-2495. If you like Venmo, under my name, find me. And the money goes to help families. We're talking survivors of domestic violence and domestic partner abuse. Get it? Got it? Good. And if you ran out of ducks to give about DV, or if you ran out of bucks to give about DV, I got the re-up. Make that donation $25 or more. Don't have $25, want to do less? Be my guest, because every dollar helps. All right? We could talk about the other stuff that I need to tell you about next week. So be here. I have other announcements. The Day of Healing Safe Touch Love Fest is coming February 8th, 2025. You want to be a part of that. Yes, you do. And I'll tell you how. You can peek. I'll give you more details next week. Melikia.com. All right, on that note, I have to push the mystical magical button. And say bye-bye. Clear. In December, drinking horchata. It's not letting me end it, so I'm gonna sit here and sing horchata.